Hi, I'm Matt from Interformula, and welcome to our Research and Development Centre. We do all forms of research and development, all the way from designing and developing our own race cars, to simulators, to running cars in racing series and rallying all over the world. We also do a lot in the Asian Classic Car Championship, so do look out for us. For any information, do contact us with the number down below.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the Adrenaline Impact GT3 series, coming at you live from Alton Park. The Alton Hall stately home has hosted racing on its hallowed ground since 1951, and this 4.2 kilometer circuit really does bring the best out of the drivers. Some classic corners here, Cascades, Shell Oils, through to Knickerbrook and through to Deer's Leap at the end of the lap. This is a real roller coaster of a track, and we'll definitely be looking forward to racing there. I will be your commentator for this evening, Max Palmer, and with me is our director, Cairo Alang, who will be manning the cameras and interjecting when he needs to. But for now, we're just about running down to the end of the practice session. Meanwhile, we'll have a quick look at the standings as they stand at the end of the free practice session. Saiful Arifin is up in first position with a 1:32.822, an absolutely blistering lap from him. Jesrin Jali is not that far behind. In fact, he's barely just under 0.2 of a second behind. They're in second place with 1:32.988, and Ilham Hlabi is now currently out on track trying his hardest in order to get into the 1:32s himself. He's so close there, and in fact he spins the car. That's how hard he's pushing, and rather neatly avoids the barrier by following the corner in reverse. That's perhaps the first time I've seen that happen. He's up there in third place. Tuku Ershad is the man on screen right now. He's up in fourth with 1:33.804, a little ways behind the leaders, but if he can maintain this speed, especially when driving the AMG, it could be a very, very good result at the end of the race for him. Now the real thing now is the choice of cars. That's the real question that everyone has been asking. Shami Aizan there in fifth place. He's the second fastest Mercedes out there on track right at this moment. And the real secret behind these behind Alton Park is that it's a very, very bumpy, very undulating and very twisty circuit. That doesn't seem to be helping the Mercedes as much. As you can see, they're now on their qualifying simulations at the moment. Shami Aizan's really throwing that car around and really pushing that car as hard as it will go, going over the rise there and into the penultimate corner. Going to be really careful coming through this bend here. Very, very easy to get the car upset over the curbs, cross the rise there, and now into the final corner there, and run up into Deer's Leap. Very, very difficult exit to the corner. Then you have to straighten up for a flat-out left-hander across the line, and that puts Shami Aizan in the same place. He has not been able to improve his lap time. But Jesrin Jali has in fact been able to move his lap time up a 1:32.6, proving that they are front engine cars that will work around Alton Park. But of course the big question on everyone's minds all week was the choice of car when it comes to racing here at Alton Park. Again, like I said, very undulating, very twisty track, very three-dimensional track. And as we move from practice into qualifying, we will soon see the cars begin to move out onto the track there. Very old school sort of circuit. The AMG has proven to be very quick at more open circuits with longer straights, but it does have a little bit of a weakness in that these undulating old school tracks tend to be a little bit harder on the AMG drivers so far. This whole weekend they've been struggling to get the pace into the cars there, but the real beneficiaries are the mid-engine brigade, especially the Audis and the Ferraris, are really being helped out immensely by these cars, by the nature of this track rather. But Eddie Adrian is out there. He's the first man to venture out onto the track. Car number 666, he will be the man to start the race. Now coming up through the chicane here and through Knickerbrook Corner, and a very, very challenging run up through the top of the hill here. Trying to run too wide under the bridge there is very, very difficult indeed, because the course actually goes to the left a little bit before it comes into the braking zone there, as you can see in the track map. Virtually every corner here has a special technique that needs to be used to try and get through it, and it really is proving to be a very, very tricky track indeed. So now we're right on board with Eddie Adrian coming through the first corner there in third gear, really piling on the throttle there. You have to be careful on the exit because of the grass on the outside there. Slight right-hander brings you into the braking zone 4. Cascades, a really tricky left-hander. You really have to pick your racing lines going through there. Now you can see the beautiful lake on the left-hand side as you come up into the next braking zone here. This is the island curve and into Shell Oil's hairpin corner. Shell Oil is very, very difficult. Of course, it's banked a lot like the Zandvoort circuit that we were at the previous event. Now coming up to the first chicane here, you really have to be very close to the tires there in order to try and get a good lap time. And whoa, big sideways moment there for Eddie Adrian, and he is off the track. Very unfortunate stuff there. It looked like he was going to go very, very quickly indeed, but that just goes to show how difficult this track is. Even the seemingly simplest parts of the course can be very tricky, especially this rise here. The British superbikes go over this crest and they in fact get fresh air over the front tires coming over that crest there. Now coming into, I believe this is Hislop's chicane. On the grass then, it looks like Kelvin Ha goes around as well. The caution livery not quite working there for the Ferrari, and I'm starting to get a little bit worried there if we have the commentator's curse kicking in yet again. Meanwhile, Ilham Labi has a 148.188 on the board. These cars will need a couple of laps, ideally, to get up to temperature before you could really attack the course or attack the track. Meanwhile, Aslan is in the pink Ferrari, the faux Racing Point livery there, going through these fast right-handers, and then over the crest on the exit there. The track is almost never straight throughout the course of its 4.3 kilometers of length. Going through the final corner there, the car goes very light over the crest here, and now you've got to line it up perfectly for Deer's Leap in order to get yourself across the line as quickly as possible. And let's see what he's able to do there. I think he might have been unable to set a lap time at that moment, but let's have a look at Saiful Arifin. Let's see if he is able to do a quick lap time through there. And he does a 1:33.868, a flying lap time from Saiful Arifin right there. Lloyd Loughlin there, he is also, I believe, in an Audi R8. He's going to come across the line there. Let's see what he can do. A 1:35.2. Iman Danish, meanwhile, he was pole during the warm-up race, and it looks like he's going very well himself here. A 1:34.556 for Iman Danish, a very quick lap time indeed. And this is Umar Aziz in the rather menacing-looking all-black Ferrari. Coming up to the final corner there, really have to be hard on the brakes coming through here in order to get a good run up through Deer's Leap. Again, a little bit closer to the barrier there. Let's see what he is able to pull off. And it looks like he's unable to set a lap time that particular time around. Meanwhile, Azrael Nasli is in the rough. The Porsche-based GT3 car that used to race alongside the official car as well. 134.294, that puts him up into second place. He's absolutely flying in that Porsche. A very difficult car to drive and to get right, but in the right hands, despite its age, it really can go quite fast indeed. I remember those cars were introduced in the early 2000s, so that's almost 15 years ago since that car first came onto the scene in GT3 racing, and it's still going fast today. Meanwhile, Shami Aizan there picking his way through the first chicane and going over the crest. There again, you have to make sure the car is dead straight when you go over the crest there, because the car really does get quite light, and it will do in the next crest as well. Coming into this chicane, very, very accurate indeed. This looks like it's going to be a quick lap through Nicaragua. And then over the crest. Really have to pick your racing lines very, very carefully through here, because if you get it wide in the braking zone, you really have a hard time trying to recover. And now over these three crests, you can almost use it to time your braking into the final corner. Now really struggling to get the power down over Deer's Leap and across the line. Let's see what Shami Aizan can do. He's got pole. 133.646. Javier Alvarez, meanwhile, he's the next man across the line. Let's have a look and see what he's able to do there. He comes across the line and sets. He does not set a lap there, so he must have come off the track at some point or another. But at this moment, there's 7 minutes gone in this 15-minute session. Roughly halfway through the session right now, and Shami Aizan is on pole position, followed by Saiful Arifin in second place and Lloyd Lachlan in third. That's a Mercedes up front with two Audis in second and third place. Azrael Nasli in the roof is in fourth place. Nazmi is in fifth place with the Mercedes. Iman Danish in sixth for Ferrari, and Surin Savaraju in seventh with Fred Ting, Sharul, Ilham, Irshad, Sharil, Jezrin there in 14th place. Further down, now I believe Tarmizi is also in the roof, really pushing that car very hard indeed. Coming into the braking zone here, has to feed the car through the corner there. And the trick with these cars is that these are very much rear engine cars, so really tricky to try and get the power down. You have to make sure that when you do get the power down, you don't lift off. That's the classic rear engine, rear wheel drive driving strategy that you really have to do to try and push this car through these curves here. 135.854 was his lap time there the previous lap. He'll be trying to improve that, I'm sure. Meanwhile, that is, I believe, Kelvin T in the Ferrari. Going through cascades there, you can see the Ferrari is a lot easier to drive around this track. The nose of the car really does hug the inside line quite a bit, and I believe Kelvin has his famous faux NSX livery in the car right now. Going through Chalor's curve, you can see how fast the car is at the apex there. And on a track like this, you really do need a car with a very positive turn in order to make sure that you don't wash wide coming around the exit of the corners there. But hitting 200 kilometers an hour before coming into the braking zone here. And he's just gone a little bit wide there, that's unfortunate. But that would have been a very quick lap time indeed. Meanwhile, this is Melvin Digit in the Ferrari 488 with a similar caution livery to Calvin Haas. Coming across the line, let's see what he could do in terms of lap time. And he's across with 1:36.1. Meanwhile, we have in the comment section there Mohamed Jamaat El Rizki Narrow circuit, mix of elevation, super challenging circuit, especially with the GT cars. Cannot agree more with that. And it definitely is proving to be a very, very tricky course indeed for these cars. Perhaps more suited to superbike racing or touring car racing. But the Alton Park course has been used many a times for big GT and Formula Car events. In fact, it was the home of the Alton Park Gold Cup, which back in the 60s was one of the classic non-championship Formula One races. So you can imagine a mid-60s Formula One car trying to handle these curves. Makes the modern day drivers seem a little bit tame in some respects, but in other respects these cars are bigger, wider and heavier than those old 60s cars. And you can really tell that these guys are pushing very hard indeed. Worshad there gets the car just rotated beautifully over the final corner there through Deer's Leap and onto the start and finish line. Let's see what he is able to do in terms of lap time. He does it 1:34.783. That moves him up into 11th place in the standings. Jasmine Jolly, he had provisional pole position there for quite a bit. Let's see if he is able to improve his lap time coming through the corner here. Final bend, really having to use all of the road and a little bit of the grass there. Now the grass here, the drivers were reporting that the grass is very, very slippery indeed there, but he's able to get through no problems. And whilst Jasmine Jolly has improved his lap time, he's only been able to move up into 7th place with 1:34.527. Ilham Labi, meanwhile, he is very quick in these GT3 cars. Now, of course, he's had a little bit of fun with this over the course of the previous few races. He's refused to qualify on several occasions, giving himself that extra challenge of a last to first, sort of doing a last to first challenge. But let's see if he will try and go for a lap this time around. It looks quick, but is he on an out lap?
Maybe he's an out lap.
Yes, I think he might be. Like I say, ladies and gentlemen, he does like a little bit of a challenge, and it looks like, of all places, he'll try it here. Afik Fadlan is the third guy in the caution Ferrari, and he's gone off.
So there will be a confusing liveries tonight.
Hopefully we will be able to keep these guys in in order for you, but if you do manage to miss anything, or if you want to have a chat about the circuit and join the wonderful fans that are down there in the comment section below, do leave a comment down there. Sometimes the drivers will be able to see that as well, so do root for your favorite drivers down in the comment section below. And whilst you're there, hit that like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, and do share this stream with your friends and spread that sim racing love around. Lloyd Lachlan, one of our drivers there, he's third fastest. I'm not too sure what he's complaining about. Hi guys, any chance of a yellow right from the start? Oof, well, looking at first corner and the run into Cascades, I wouldn't bet against it if I were you, that's for sure. Now this track is possibly one of the narrowest tracks we've run these cars on. In fact, it might actually be the narrowest track that we've run these GT3 cars on. And the first corner, whilst we managed to get away with it during the warm-up race, but we had to wait till lap 4 for the pile-up, but it could very well happen. Now Ilham Hlabi again decides on not taking a lap there. He's got his 1:35.048 just to make sure he's in the race, but keep an eye out on that man there in the Audi. Meanwhile, Calvin Haas going to go across the line, and he unfortunately wasn't able to improve on his lap times. It looks like he's stuck a little bit in that 1:35 range, but he'll be trying his hardest to try and push that car a little bit more. 30 seconds left on the clock. Shame Aizan is still on pole position. Looks like Kelvin T here really is going for a quick lap. Coming up to the final corner again, very, very tricky to try and get this car turned around. He's on the grass, he just about manages to save it. This is a spectacular lap. Let's see if it's a quick one. Coming across the line.
No time.
And there's no time given for that. So Kelvin T may have run a little bit too wide there coming out of the circuit. It looks like he's pulling off. The checker flag is out, which means that this will be the last lap for these drivers. Melvin coming across the line, coming up through Deersley. Let's see what he's able to do in the Ferrari. Unfortunately, it looks like he has in fact improved. 135.1 brings him up to 18th place, but we have quite a lot of drivers in the server at the moment. Faris Fadzil there, he is coming through in the SRE liveried McLaren. Just about gets the car rotated around on a point there. Through underneath the Advan bridge, coming up to the penultimate corner there. Very difficult braking zone there. It looks like he just about makes it go around the corner there, using the out-in-out sort of, the in-out-in kind of racing line through that corner. Now coming up to the final bend here. Ooh, and he's just got hit by one of the Ferraris there. That's really unfortunate for him. That means that he's not able to complete the lap. Very unfortunate stuff there. Alif Lamim comments, "Hi Lloyd, maybe." So we might see a yellow flag on the first lap there. Leave your comments down below and tell us what you think. Will we have a yellow flag on the first lap, or will we have to wait a little bit longer? Me personally, I hope everyone gets through the first few corners safely, although it could be quite tricky indeed. We have quite a few cars in the server, don't we?
Yeah, we have 26 registered now.
That's quite a bit for this track here. This is a sort of track that's it's only a little bit longer than Batutiga, and it's certainly the same width. So it's going to be a real challenge to see these guys, all 26 guys, go through the corners. Airpool says, "Good luck, guys," and sentiment is definitely shared with myself here in the commentary box. But overtime is quickly running to an end there. Let's see if Umar is able to get his car any further up. It looks like he isn't.
Okay, let's go to the grid.
Yes, so rather surprisingly there we have a new pole sitter in the Adrenaline Impact GT3 series. I believe this is the first time that we've seen him up there, but in any case, a stellar performance for Shami Aizan, who's in pole position with 133.437. He's in first place, followed by Saiful Arifin in second place, only 4 tenths behind. Lloyd Lachlan very close behind there in third place, 4.3 tenths behind. Lloyd Lachlan 4.6 tenths behind there in third place. Tuku Irshad is in fourth place, followed by Kelvin T, Azrael Nazli, Omar Aziz, Nazmi Mazli, Jazrin Jali and Iman Danish down there in 10th place. In 11th, Surin Selvaraju will be looking to head into the top 10. Alongside him is Tarmizi Yusuf. In 13th place we have Pred Ting, and in 14th Javier Alvarez, not quite being able to get a good lap time. We'll see more of him, I'm sure, up ahead. Sharul Jafar is in 15th place, followed by Aslan Manap. Ilham Halabi all the way down in 17th. Perhaps another chance to try and rack up those overtakes and get the most amount of overtakes possible. Ovidajit Singh is in 18th, followed by Eddie Adrian, Afiq Fadlan, Calvin Ha, Sharil Norafuddin, Jasri Junus and Mohammad Shukran, with Shawal Rajab and Farouz Fadzil in 25th and 26th. And so we see Tarmizi has decided to start from the pits, which is an interesting strategy. Perhaps he will want to try and avoid any mishaps from the start of the race. But now we'll see the guys running through the last sector of the track. The iRacing Porsche 911 safety car, they're leading the drivers through to the grid. It'll be a rolling start. It'll be a real challenge for these drivers to try and get some temperature into the tyres before they take the start of the race. And it's going to be a real challenge to try and jostle the position. But we'll have to have a look and see what Shami Aizan is going to do at the start of the race. Remember, Shami Aizan will have the Going to pace the field coming up towards the line there. The red lights are on, and it looks like quite a few drivers have started a little bit early there, but they have gone underway, and it looks like there's going to be a real pile into the first corner there. Let's have a look through there. They managed to get through clean. There were 3 wide going through there, and Lloyd Lachlan has managed to jump the entire field, getting himself up into first place. Tiku Ershad manages to squeeze himself into second place. Shami Aizan still in third, Kelvin T in fourth, Aziz in fifth, and Saiful Arifin really lost out quite a bit there. You can see that Saiful Arifin was trying to get a good start, but unfortunately he's just run a little bit wide there, and also running a bit wide there is Tiku Ershad. Tiku Ershad has gone off the course there. Luckily he has not taken anyone else with him, so we're still underway here at Alton Park, but Lloyd Lachlan is under a lot of pressure there from Sami Aizan. He is at the lead of the race there, perhaps for the first time in quite a while. Coming up over the crest, coming into the braking zone there, he's got to watch out because he's under attack from a very quick Mercedes. A lot of the drivers saying that the Mercedes AMG GT3 not going to be the best choice around here, but Sami Aizan is definitely proving the doubters wrong. Kelvin T doing very well for himself up there in third place, but Lloyd emphatically in the lead there at that point, and it looks like it's going to be a real push for him. Fred Thing comes into the braking zone here in the replay, and it looks like there was just a little bit of a traffic jam there, and wow, I have never seen that happen. That might be the first reverse ollie we've seen the GT3 car do, or at least it's the first one I've seen. But that's unfortunate for Fred Ting there, and it looks like Kelvin T has also gone off the track there. He is coming down the leaderboard quite a bit, and it looks like he spun coming out of the final corner there. Very tricky for these cars. The tires would still be cold, doubtless they would still be searching for grip until the tire temperatures come up. It's a relatively cold day out there. We started with 17 degrees air temperature, so it'll be a really cold track right now. But meanwhile, Sami Aizan putting a lot of pressure on the Australian there, trying to go around the outside, but it looks like Lloyd still has his racing line well and truly sewn up, and Sami Aizan still trying everything he can to try and get into the lead. It looks like Sami's got his tires nice and warm, and he's able to try and catch up with Lloyd Lachlan coming into the braking zone there. They're going to enter the braking zone side by side into the chicane, but Lloyd manages to take the inside line there, and as they exit Knickerbrook and go up the crest, slight left hand below the crest here, and it's blind, so you really have to know where to place the car after you've turned in. A real challenging section. It doesn't look too bad, but it is very difficult indeed. Now coming into the final corner there, and will Sami Aizan try to go for the inside line? He tries to go around the inside, but Lloyd just about has enough pace to try and keep the car ahead, and now he's going to head up across Deer's lead to start another lap. Good grief, that is a fantastic start from the leaders there, and a real battle brewing for the lead. This could be a battle that heads on for quite a while there, but Jaswin Jali there putting a lot of pressure on Omar Aziz, who gets the car sideways across the grass. Very lucky to keep the car in one piece, but you can see there through cascades he's running it just a little bit wide there. Jaswin might be able to make an overtaking maneuver coming through islands and into the Shell Oil's hairpin. This could be a place for maneuver, but one of them has done so. That was, I believe, Azrael Nasli, who's managed to make an overtaking maneuver there work, and Jaswin manages to stay with the crew as they go through the corner there. But this battle is looking to really hot up. Aslan Manap, meanwhile, has gone off the road at the Shell Oil's curve there, just in front of Ilham Labi, who's only gained a few places. But let's have a look at the instant replay there. This time for Jasri Junos, who has quite a bit of damage on his car.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it looks like he had an incident earlier on, and that car looks to be very undrivable indeed. He might have to head into the pits in order to get that fixed. Meanwhile, at the lead there, Sami Aizan is still hunting down Lloyd Lachlan. We know Sami has the pace through there. Meanwhile, we'll have another look at the replay. Farouz Fazil managing to gain a few positions there, coming into the chicane. Just about gets spun around there. There was nowhere to go for all the cars there, and that's a very unfortunate little car park that they've ended up in.
Will that be
Luckily,
cleared, or what do you think, man?
I
Just
think
some-
that should be clear by now.
Yeah. Mhm. So-
Luckily, a very slow speed section there, so I think they shouldn't need to put out the yellow flags just yet. But now coming up into the shell oils curve there for lap 4, this time Lloyd still has Xiaomi behind him, still the same amount of space in between them, i.e. not that much. Coming up into the braking zone here, Lloyd really just tightening up his racing line there just to try and keep Xiaomi Aizan behind him. So far, Arifin managing to claw his way back up into 3rd place, so that could be a factor in the lead of this race. Tiptoeing around through the course here. You've got to be really careful coming through the corner. Now up over the crest. You can see that just can't see where the road is going to go next. A lot of blind spots on this track, and you really do have to learn the track by heart in order to be quick around here. But a very beautiful, picturesque track indeed. Still follows, still sort of largely follows the contours of the original 1950s track there, and Lloyd gets the car sideways, which brings Xiaomi Aizan into contention. They're going to go side by side. Lloyd has the inside, Xiaomi Aizan has the outside. Will there be a change of position coming into the first turn? Yes, there is, and Xiaomi Aizan manages to get into the first position there with Lloyd Lachlan in 2nd place. Lloyd tried to keep himself in the lead there, but Xiaomi managing to get himself up into 1st place. Lloyd Lachlan in 2nd, and now it's a chance for Saiful Arifin to try and put the hammer down and catch these two who are lapping at an incredible pace right now. You can see there, Xiaomi Aizan really trying to push the lead, and considering he's in a AMG GT3, which was considered to have a bit of a handicap around this track, it looks like Xiaomi Aizan is able to really get the most out of that car. Meanwhile, in 6th place, Jezrin Jali, you can see how close everything is at the top of the leaderboard. You can see the top 5 ahead of Jezrin Jali there. He can see where the leaders are, and he will be extra motivated in order to try and get past all of these cars up ahead. Now, with the pace being pushed higher and higher, and with the cars being driven harder and harder, a lot of these drivers will have to think as well about the strategy. These guys won't be able to do the whole 45 minutes on a single tank of fuel. We have artificially restricted the amount of fuel that's gone into these cars for this race, so they will have to take a pit stop, all things remaining the same. But right now we can see that fantastic run from Xiaomi Aizan. He's managed to get a 1.5 second lead through there. Meanwhile, the battle between 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th, well, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th is really hotting up there. Azlan Nazli doing a very good job in order to try and keep that Porsche in contention. Not the most aerodynamically efficient car out there, not the most aerodynamically sophisticated car racing, but it is still very, very quick, especially in a straight line and coming out of corners there. Azlan Nazli really doing very well indeed in order to try and keep that car up in the top of the field.
Umar just overtook him. Well, it's quite a challenge to drive the RUF here.
Oh yes, the rough car really demands perfection going through each corner there. If you're just a little bit too far wide, the car could really punish you there. And these drivers have been battling for quite a bit. Azrael Nazli and Umar Aziz, who's ahead of Azrael right now at this point. Remember earlier on, lap 2 and lap 3 that they were battling, and it looks like this could be a battle that will be going on for quite a while. The almost Porsche against the Ferrari. Safa Arifin, meanwhile, he is really caught up with Lloyd right now, coming into the final bend. Really has to pick his racing line through there, coming up to Deer's Leap now. And it looks like Safa Arifin is able to catch Lloyd quite a bit. But Xiaomi Aizan is really starting to disappear and really stretch that Mercedes legs over the course of a lap. You can see behind him Omar Aziz and Azrul Nazli, the battle for 4th and 5th developing as well, and Jazrin Jali has a watching brief on all of the cars at the lead, ready to pounce should there be a mistake. But looks like Azrul Nazli able to just about squeeze his way past Omar Aziz, and that's another change in position, but Omar Aziz goes immediately on the counter attack and he manages to get the car through back up into 4th place. These guys will be pushing all the way through the lap in order to try and get any opportunity to make an overtaking maneuver. But that was fantastic, a double overtake on each other, basically 2 corners apart. This is GT racing at its best. Now coming around the outside there, they're going to go side by side into the braking zone. Who's going to come out on top? It looks like Omar Aziz is able to keep that position running, and a little bit of a mistake there from the rough means that Jazrin Jali is going to try and go for an overtaking maneuver there. They're going to go side by side up the hill, and it looks like Jazrin very, very close, but just not quite there yet. Meanwhile, Iman Danish has had a fantastic start, fantastic first part of the race there. He's able to catch up with Jazrin Jali, doing very well indeed there, up in 7th place. Could this be another position lost for Jazrin? Could this be another position gain from Iman Danish? We'll just have to wait and see. But the usual adrenaline-packed midfield battle has definitely moved up a few notches and has definitely moved up the field quite a few places there indeed. Meanwhile, Ilham Plabi is chasing down Charles Norfolk. These two drivers very quick in the Audi. They both like the Audi, they love the handling characteristics of the mid-engine car, but it has that sort of almost German stability to it. That sort of rock-steady feeling that you don't usually get from most mid-engine cars there. But in any case, Ilham looks like he's able to get on the throttle a little bit earlier coming out of the Cascades there. Through Island then. Now coming up to the Shell Oils turn, will he be able to do anything here? No, but he has been able to at least close up the gap just a little bit longer, and it looks like Sharon Norfordin's gone off. He's gone off the track there. Let's move Ilham Labi up 1 place, but Javier is right behind him. Javier Alvarez, the Spaniard who now currently lives in Kuala Lumpur, doing very well for himself in the race here. He's been able to really close up to the back of Ilham Labi there quite a bit. Ilham Labi, he's gained 6 positions so far in the race, and he is looking to try and climb a few more places higher. As for Nasi, meanwhile, he is still fighting hard with Omar Aziz there, pushing those 2 cars harder and harder. But as you can see, as they battle, the cars up ahead are beginning to run away a little bit there, and it looks like Lloyd had to go off the track there a little bit. The battle between Lloyd and Saiful Arifin is starting to hot up further up the road there. You can see the 2 of them dicing, getting very close to each other there. Will this be an overtaking maneuver coming up through islands and into the Shell Oils hairpin? Lloyd's going to really watch out for it. Coming into the braking zone there, and he's just not able to do it. It looks like Saiful Arifin's best chance there was at the final corner, but it looks like he's going to head up through into the first chicane and just focus on trying to close that gap just a little bit more, ready for the next attack.
What a fantastic 5 laps, 10 laps, it was almost 10 laps.
Yep.
That was kind of cool for having no major incidents.
Forgive me, ladies and gentlemen, I just had to take a quick sip of my glass of H2O. That was an intense 9 laps to the start of the race there, and it looks like the racing is just getting better and better. Look at the leaderboard right now. Positions between position 2 and position 7. Everyone is within a second or so of everyone else. They really are pushing very hard at the front of the field right now.
Oh, Saiful already overtook Lloyd there. We missed that.
It looks like he went around the outside through turn 1. It could just be the Shemazan just ran a little bit wide through there. That's put Lloyd Loughlin into the clutches of Omar Aziz and Azril Nazli. Lloyd's really going to have to try and push hard in order to keep these two cars behind him from trying to go for that overtaking maneuver. Omar gets very close to the back of Lloyd's car. Lloyd's still in third place, in fact that's where he started the race from. And he's going to have a real challenge on his hands in order to try and keep himself up in the podium positions. 15 minutes have passed in this 45-minute race, half an hour left on the clock. Shami Azan is in the lead still, Safa Arifin in second, and Lloyd Lachlan in third, holding off Omar Aziz in fourth place. Azrul Nazli is in fifth place, followed by Jasrin Jali and Iman Danish, with Nazbi in eighth, Ershad in ninth, and Novidijit in 10th place, with Ilham Lami right behind. Now this is really coming on to, there's a huge battle right now just for the last podium position there. Saiful Arifin trying his hardest to try and push that Audi as far as it will go in order to try and catch Shami Aizan up ahead. Meanwhile, Umar Aziz really has to keep one eye behind him on the rearview mirror, looking at Azrul Nazi, and one eye up ahead trying to look for an opportunity to overtake Lloyd Lachlan. This may be a GT race, but it's starting to look more and more like a touring car race. Absolute action all the way through the field right now. It doesn't get any better than this. As we're getting the car very sideways through the clearways there. Did very well for himself to try and keep the car in straight line there. That was very, very challenging indeed. But it looks like Malvidijit Singh is first of the midfield pack to head into the pits to try and repair the car. Perhaps he wasn't too happy with the performance of the car there, but he will also get a welcome infusion of fuel as well as a bit of repairs, and he's going to try and push that car just a little bit harder. But meanwhile, Shami Aizan is coming across lap traffic very early on in the race. Only 11 laps has passed between him taking the lead of the race and beginning to come across traffic. And now traffic around Alton Park is going to be very difficult to deal with, because of course there's not a lot of places for lap traffic to even give space, and that's not going to really do anything more than slow Shami Aizan down. Saifur Arifin knows this, so if he plays his cards right and uses the traffic ahead of him to his advantage, he could close up that gap. And as you can see, it was 5 seconds, now it's down to 3.3 seconds. Meanwhile, Lloyd Lachlan has still a real mess of GT3 cars behind him. Umar Aziz is still trying to make an overtaking move work, but he's gone wide through there, and that might give the opportunity to Azrul Nazli to try and make an overtaking move come into Clear's ways. And it looks like, whoa, just the traffic there trying to get out the way there. A couple of the lap cars having to take to the grass in order to let this train of cars through. And you can see how much faster these guys are compared to the back mark, is virtually taken by surprise there as they went through, sort of skived their way through the field there. That's how intense this battle is shaping up to be there. As we're feeding the car through the corners there. It looks like Umar Aziz's car just touched the tyres a little bit. Now those tyres on the apex of the corners might look like rather simple tyre barriers, but trust me, if you hit them, they really can do a lot of damage to the car. In fact, it's more likely that the car will stop rather than the tyre barrier. And Lloyd's gone off. That's a big shot there from Lloyd Lachlan. Not too sure what happened there, but meanwhile, the Azrul Nazli and the Umar Aziz there going side by side through. But meanwhile, let's have a look at the replay there. Lloyd coming out of Knickerborough, and he just gets the car a little bit sideways there, and unfortunately Umar Aziz had nowhere else to go. He was parked on the grass there, and he just couldn't slow the car down enough in order to try and avoid Lloyd. Very unfortunate stuff up there. But at the moment it looks like Iman Danish has also moved up quite a bit there. And it looks like Azrul Nasri also had to really slow down quite a bit through there. So a real shake-up to the top 5 right now. Shami Aizan still in the lead, Saiful Arifin in second, but Jasrid Jali has moved up into 3rd place. Iman Danish has moved all the way up into 4th position. A real stellar drive from the youngster. from the teenaged driver, still yet to get his road license, I understand, but still he's got a lot of talent underneath that right foot. Ilham Halabi, meanwhile, he's in 8th place. He has just about, he has Azrael and Nazli up ahead, who's just rejoined there. Azrael, Nazli in 7th place, Umar Aziz in 6th, but Azrael's really dropped off quite a lot in terms of pace, and now he's getting into the clutches of Ilham Halabi, coming into the braking zone there. Umar Aziz, meanwhile, he's trying to chase after Nazli in the Mercedes up ahead. He's pushing that Ferrari just as fast as it will go in order to try and catch up with the car up ahead. Just about crests.
That's a major shake-up of the top 10.
Absolutely. One incident, that's all it takes to really shake the order up quite a bit. And it's Umar Aziz who goes into the pits. Is this a different tactic? We are near the midpoint of the race, but we have seen these drivers choose a later point in the race in order to try and make a pit stop. But Ilham Halabi is also into the pits as well. Could this be the start of a whole bunch of drivers pulling into the pits? And could we see tyre changes as well as fuel being taken on board? Because this track can be very hard on the tyres. Xabi Ayazan, meanwhile, he's in 1st place at the moment, sitting very comfortably there. His best lap time, 1:33.7. His last lap time was only a 10th slower, so he's really pushing his race pace very hard right now. And so is Saiful Arifin. Jasmine Jali is lapping quicker than the leader, so you can expect to see him begin to gain on 2nd place, Saiful Arifin, over the next few laps. Meanwhile, we'll have a look at Surin Selvaraju, who's battling right now with Sharel Dorafudin. Surin in the Ferrari and Sharel in the Audi, going up across the over the crest there, coming into the braking point for the 2nd chicane. You really have to be careful on the brakes here, pick their way through, make sure they don't go too close to that apex tyre barrier. So he gets the car just a little bit on the grass there, but he still keeps the car going, coming up over the crest and into the next braking zone there. Hard on the brakes and feeding it through the corner. And meanwhile, Lloyd Loughlin has gone into the pits there. Looks like he might be coming in for a bit of a repair as well as a fuel fill up, and maybe even a set of tyres as well. Shama Azam is still in the lead, however, almost 5 seconds ahead of Saiful Arifin. Jasper Jali is over 4 seconds behind there in 3rd place. You can see he's being held back a little bit by some lap traffic. That's Calvin Hart in the Ferrari up ahead. Meanwhile, Surin is still trying to have a look to see if he can try and get past Sharon Norafudin. Sharon is a lot quicker through Ireland. Now into the Shell Oils curve. And it looks like Surin just closes up the gap again. This is going to be a real back and forth battle throughout, but Omar Aziz is another Ferrari who's just joined up that that traffic there. But it looks like Shami Aizan has gone into the pits to serve his pit stop. He's decided to do it on the 24th minute on lap 16. This could really bring some very different complexion to the race right now. Saiful Arifin moves into the lead, Jasrin into 2nd, Danish into 3rd, Nasmi into 4th. There's a lot of positions being lost there. And has Shami Aizan done a little bit of a mistake? Could he have gone a lot longer and tried to open up the gap a little bit more? Kelvin T in 7th place will appear behind Shami Aizan there, and with his car up and running and going very quickly indeed, he should be able to close up a little bit before the tyre temperatures warm up. But Iman Danish goes onto the dirt on islands there, gets the car just a little bit sideways, broadside to the road there, and points the other way. That's a very scary situation for Iman Danish to be in there, but he's back up and running again. Have you noticed with Kelvin T's car there, he's got it dressed up as a faux NSX. Quite interesting design there. He's even got the little red lines underneath
Imposter.
the intakes. You got to have a little bit of a sense of humor in sim racing, and I just love that car for whatever reason. There really does strike me. I had to. The previous time that Kelvin ran that car, he ran it in Suzuka, and I, for the life of me, couldn't work out whether they had the NSX GT3 in iRacing or not. But in any case, there you have it. That car is a Ferrari. Meanwhile, Umar Aziz is on the tail of Shawar Nurfuddin and still pushing very hard indeed. He is trying to claw his way up one car at a time. He was further up the leaderboard, but unfortunately he's dropped back quite a bit. Meanwhile, Shami Aizan is in 5th place, and he is in the clutches of quite a few drivers there. Meanwhile, Azrael Nazli also comes into the pits there. A lot of drivers picking the middle sort of stint there. Although it is starting to get enter into the later stages of the race, where we would expect most of the front runners to be making their pit stops. Sharon Orafud in there, still pushing very hard indeed to try and run away from Umar Aziz. There we have it, our leader at the moment in the Adrenaline Impact livery. Looking very, very smart, even if I'm a little bit biased myself. But Saifar Arif in there in the Audi, looking very much in control right now. Shawi Aizad, he has quite a bit of traffic up ahead. He's got quite a few cars between himself and the leader, although he's just clear of that now. As you can see those cars behind him. Now his job is to try and close up the gap between himself and Saiful Arifin as much as possible, to make sure that he comes out ahead at the end of the pit stop cycle. And we're having quite a long pit stop cycle this race, with some drivers choosing to come in fairly early and some drivers obviously trying to keep it as late as possible. Nazmi Mazli is another front runner who decides to go into the pits there. He comes in from 3rd place to serve his pit stop. That moves Shami up to 4th place, and perhaps just a little bit more breathing room in order for him to try and catch up with the cars up ahead. Iman Danish still in 3rd place despite that mistake earlier on, but he has lost quite a bit of time between himself and the cars up ahead. Could this be enough time for Saiful Arifin and Jasmine Jali to come in for the pit stop? We shall have to wait and see. Meanwhile, Shawar Nurfuddin finally has been overtaken by Umar Aziz, but Shawar is trying his hardest in order to try and keep pace with Umar Aziz and hopefully try and catch back up again. Coming through the islands, and Azrael Nazi, meanwhile, he is battling with Tiku Irshad, who's pushing the cars very, very hard indeed, coming into the braking zone there, feeding the car into the apex. It looks like Azrael's being able to keep the car almost up into the middle, but has to fall back just a little bit. And Saiful Arifin's at the pits. Saiful Arifin is in the pits. We know he's going to lose a few positions there. Let's see who is able to get past him. Iman Danish might be able to get himself past Saiful Arifin. Saiful Arifin's wheels are rolling again, but it is a relatively slow entry to the pits. Iman Danish does go into the pits as well as Kelvin T. Umar Aziz in 6th place, he's still up there, and he might be the next group of cars to get past. But it looks like Saiful Arifin is able to stay in 2nd place after the pit stops, and he knows that Jasmine Jali really does need to pit. The question now is Jasmine Jali able to pit and get out in front of Saiful Arifin? It's going to be a real challenge to see if he's able to do that. There's a little bit of damage in his car as well, so it'd be really interesting to see if he chooses to try and fix that and battle from behind, or forego the repairs and go on the attack in order to try and keep ahead of Saiful Arifin at the pit stop. Theoretically, there should be enough time for him to come into the pits and make an overtaking and overcut maneuver work. That is,
Oh,
he decides to go. He decides to keep going as well. He may be able to gain just a little bit of time on Saiful and Shamir whilst their tyres are still cold, but it'd be interesting to see what Jezrin's able to do. Meanwhile, Azrael Nazi is very close to the back of Tuku Urshad's car, coming to the braking zone there. They come almost side by side through the chicane, through the Knickerbrook corner, and Urshad's off. Urshad's off the track, and that leaves Azrael Nazi to make that overtaking maneuver work. Azrael Nazi manages to go past and come into 9th place. Meanwhile, Iman Danish is in 7th and chasing down Shawar Norafuddin. Charles had to deal with one black Ferrari, and now he really has to work hard to try and keep ahead of yet another one, and he's got Ilham Labi there further behind. This could develop into quite a interesting battle indeed for these three drivers. Iman Danish very, very quick. He in fact did get the pole position time for the warm-up race this Friday. The previous Friday, I do
last Friday.
Last Friday. And just having a look at how hard Iman Danish is having to push in order to try and keep up with Sharon Norafuddin, it really does strike me as to how hard these guys are pushing the car. Jasrin Jali comes into the pits there. Now we're going to have to keep a look on Saiful Arifin. Will he be able to get past in time? Jasrin is in the pits right now. He's stationary and he's taking on the fuel that he needs. And will he be in there for a long stop? As Saiful Arifin comes over to Deer's Leap and gets past Jasrin Jali. It just wasn't enough time for Jasrin to come in, get his fuel stop and come out in time. And Saiful Arifin gains a position and takes the lead of the race with 32 minutes gone out of the 45-minute race. So 12 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock. And Ilham Labi now, he is battling with Shami Aizan there. Shami Aizan decides, sorry, that was
that was an interesting maneuver going to the pits there.
Yeah, trying to avoid the overtaking. Try to avoid racing out on track, which can be a smart idea, but it does throw the commentator off, especially when Shami Aizan was in fact ahead of both of them. Had me really squinting at the screen there for a second as Javier Alvarez come into the pits. Kelvin T now up in 11th place. So he is the last driver to pass. Those drivers, well, Charel and Surin have overtaken Alvarez and Tarmizi as well, and that basically is the majority of the field have completed their pit stops. Up ahead for Kelvin, there are two cars.
These are the confusing times.
Yep, Afif Fadlan is the car up ahead of him, and the car further up ahead as they have an accident. Unbelievable stuff. How did Kelvin T avoid that as the two cars, that was Malvinderjit Singh and Afif Fadlan. Let's have another look at that on the replay. I believe they may have in fact been fighting for position, but as they come across the crest here and the car just gets a little bit wide, just a little bit away from Afif Fadlan, which causes the contact between the two drivers there. And how did Kelvin T manage to just steamroll his way through the two Ferraris there? It turns out the strongest Ferrari out on the track at the moment is in fact a Honda. And that was pretty impressive stuff there, but doubtless Kelvin T has picked up a little bit of damage from that. It'll be interesting to see if he, yes, in fact, he does go into the pits for a quick bit of repair. Meanwhile, Takuya is trying to fight his way further up into the top 10. He's now in 8th place. He's got Lloyd Lachlan behind him, but Azrael Nasri is right ahead, and you can see Ilham Halabi further up the road there. So this could be something that would really build up. Shami Azri, meanwhile, asks, "What was that?" Well, to be honest with you, Shami, I am not too sure myself. But that incident with the 3 Ferraris really does go to show that perhaps the drivers aren't quite able to see what was written on those 2 Ferraris. Meanwhile, Azrael, he's doing very well for himself to try and be able to keep up with the Porsche. But as soon as I said that, he gets into a real tank slapper. That's the trouble with these roofs, with these rear-engine cars. If you get them into a tank slapper, you really could be muttering to yourself, trying to keep the thing in a straight line.
Lost a position there, I think.
Yes. It appears that the commentator's curse has struck again.
He was battling with Ishak before this.
Yes, and it looks like he might be able to catch right back up with him, with Takuya in the next few races. 9 minutes left in the race. It looks like Saiful Arifin and Jasrin Jali are quite far apart from each other. It looks like Saiful is in command of the lead of the race, but meanwhile the battle is down there in 7th and 8th place. But look at that, Saiful Arifin is in the lead. He's just far enough ahead of Jasrin Jali that it really does mean that Jasrin has to push very hard indeed in order to try and catch back up.
There's a massive gap between them, between Jasrin and Shami.
Yeah, 10 seconds separate 2nd and 3rd place there, so
even bigger gap between them.
Yeah.
Omar, yeah.
So they really stretched themselves apart in the closing stages of the race here. It looks like the mid-race pit stop strategy didn't quite work out for some drivers. It worked out okay for some, but for others. Azrael Nasri, meanwhile, he is still not done with Takuya Ershad. He's pushing as hard as he can to try and get past Ershad and try and claim another German car for the rough Porsche coming across Deersley. And over the line there, Azrael Nasri looks like he's very good on the brakes in the Porsche and very good on the exit, but Ershad just has that apex speed. That means that Azrael really has to work hard in order to try and make any sort of overtaking maneuver work around here. You can see there the car is balanced on a knife edge right up the grass there for Azrael, pushing that Porsche as hard as it'll go, flat out through islands virtually, with just a dab of the brakes in order to try and get the car turned in and into the Shell Oils curve there, that banked right hand. Now coming down into the first chicane. It looks like Takuya Ershad might have the measure of Azrael Nasri, at least for now, but there is a bit of a problem up ahead. There's some traffic between themselves and Ilham Halabi. Jasri Junos in the other roof. Will Jasri play a big role in Azrael Nasri's attempts at getting past Takuya Ershad? We shall have to wait and see. With 6 minutes left on the clock, let's have a quick look at the standings there. Saiful Arifin in first position. Jasrin Jali has managed to really close up there in 2nd place. This could still be something that Jasrin will be able to pull off there. Shami Aizan in 3rd, Aziz in 4th, Danish in 5th, Ilham in 6th, Ershad in 7th, Azrael in 8th, Lloyd managing to fight his way up in 9th, and Sharon Norafuddin in 10th place. But Jasrin Jali, he managed to claw quite a lot of time there in the last lap or so. He's lapping quite quick for this late stage in the race. 1:35.4 was his previous lap time, and he's getting the car nice and rotated through the bends there. could this be a last lap battle between these two drivers? That would be absolutely sensational if it was. Let's see if Jaswin can close that gap. I don't know about you, but this has been an absolutely amazing race so far. And if you like the race, do leave that thumbs up in the comment section down below there, and do spread this race. This has been an absolute classic here at Alton Park. 5 minutes left on the clock. We might see 2, perhaps 3 more laps. Get up to lap 29 or even lap 30 if the pace is quite quick there. That was a back marker that slowed down Saifarofin quite a bit there, and that's put Jaswin Jali really right up behind the Audi. It's BMW versus Audi, German marks 1, 2, 3, and Jaswin's right behind Saifarofin. This could be a titanic battle coming up through the hairpin there. Saifo getting defensive, Jaswin getting offensive right now, coming up over the crest. There's another lapped car up ahead. That's Fairuz Fadzil, who's doing well for himself, up in 19th place. Hard on the brakes. It looks like Jaswin has the better brakes under that BMW comparison to the brakes on the Audi up ahead. And there's a bit of an issue there with the lap traffic there that almost gave the position there to Jaswin. But that's closed the gap up even more, if that was even possible, between these two drivers. Saifo Arifin in the lead, Jaswin Jali in second place, 0.3 of a second between them. This is really building up to be an intense battle for these two drivers, and this, ladies and gentlemen, is for the lead of the race. They're coming up through Diaz Leap. Will this be a outbreaking opportunity? It looks to me like they're not quite close enough for that yet, but keep your eyes out for later on around the lap, especially coming into the hairpin. This could be interesting. Just as we thought that the race was getting a little bit boring near the end, it's really come alive right now. Jaswin there is less than 0.2 of a second. It looks like Jaswin's car just a little bit quicker through this section there. Saifo having to go defensive coming into the hairpin. Jaswin really pushing that BMW. He's able to use more of the track than the Audi. He's able to really dictate the pace of the race right now. It's just the traction coming out of the corners. The front engine BMW doesn't really have the traction of that mid-engine Audi coming out of the corners there, but through everywhere else it looks like Jaswin's quicker. But catching Saifo Arifin is one thing. Once you have caught him, you're going to have to try and pass him, and that's going to be where the real challenge is going to be. There is another car up ahead. That's Sharil Norafudin in the Audi, and that Audi has a lot of damage in it. And it looks like Saiful is able to get past before the bend. Jaswin having to wait until after the bend before he can get past there, and that's brought the gap right up to 0.9 of a second. Could this be the end of Jaswin's challenge for the lead of the race? He's definitely still pushing the car very hard indeed. Saifo Arifin coming into the braking zone there, really closing up the gap there. Jaswin has it all to do yet again to try and catch back up to the leader. It was 0.9 after that last back marker. It's now down to 0.6. It's clear to see that Jaswin is driving quicker than Saifo Arifin, but Saifo still has the upper hand. He's in the lead. He can defend, he can block, he can do anything he possibly can to try and keep himself up in the lead as they go past Lloyd there, who's in 9th place. They're starting to lap the top 10 drivers right now. The pace of the race up at the front of the field is absolutely blistering. They're going through the head, through the chicane there, through Nickelbrook. Very, very difficult exit to the course here. Over the crest, coming down into the braking zone here. Again, not quite, the car's not quite in a straight line when you come through the braking zone here. and it can make things very, very difficult indeed. There's a whole bunch of cars up ahead, and that's going to really slow Safarafin down quite a bit. And that's put Jazrin right behind them. It's going to be an overtaking maneuver around the cars, around the lap traffic here. The two cars going into the pits there, and it looks like Jazrin just not able to try and make an overtaking maneuver work through there.
Just in time for one more lap, so this could be the last lap.
This will have to be the last lap.
Yeah.
They just come across the line just before the flag has come down. And I believe that's one last lap there. White flag is out. If Jazrin wants to take over the lead of the race, he's going to have to do something here and now. They're still absolutely close to each other there. Saifur Arifin still has the measure coming out of the hairpin there, but Jazrin's just blisteringly quick. Now through the first chicane for the final time. Up over the crest, there could be an overtaking maneuver up ahead. But it looks like he's just a little bit too far. The overtaking opportunities are beginning to wind down fast for Jazrin. He's going to have to try and do something, and do something quick. Coming up over the crest there, 0.4 of a second between the two drivers there. Anything can happen through the final two corners. You can see that Jazrin can close up quite a lot through this section there, using all of the road and some of the grass there. Coming into the braking zone, they're going to go side by side through the final corner and up onto Deers Leap. Who is going to win the race? They're going to go side by side. Who is going to take the win? And it looks like it was Saifur Arifin.
Whoa!
1/100th of a second from Jazrin Jali. That was a sensational end to the race. That has to be one of the most epic finishes we've ever seen in the Adrenaline Impact series. That was unbelievable. I must say, I am speechless.
I got to see this again.
Absolutely, we have to look at the replay. They're coming out of the final corner.
It's a photo finish.
Let's have a look through there. It looks like Jazrin briefly got over the line, and if the finish line had been a couple of feet further forward, Jazrin would have had it. But let's have a quick look at that. And it was the Deers Leap that made the difference. Saifur Arifin had a slightly shorter path towards victory than Jazrin, but both drivers drove their heart out there right now, and that was spectacular stuff indeed. Unbelievable. And so we see as the cars begin to come back through, Shukran still out there and Jasri still out there. Let's have a look there. Saifur Arifin in first, Jazrin in second, Shabe in third, Umar Aziz in fourth. Iman Danish unfortunately was not able to finish in the top positions there.
What happened to him really? I don't quite remember. I think he went into a crash.
Yeah, I think he did have an incident earlier on there, and it looks like he really has a very slow motor vehicle there. He was doing quite well for himself up in the top 10. And as they decide to go into the Fosters, that's the Fosters curve, the shortcut for the short track. A rather cheeky way to just save a little bit of fuel when you know you can take a very short path back to the pits there. But that was sensational stuff there. As some of the drivers there, big incident there for Shukran and Danish.
But the race haven't finished yet. They have to cross the finish line.
Yeah, I don't think Iman Danish knew that he's still... Yes, they're still racing. And unfortunately, Iman might have just given that to the other driver there. But Shukran is out of the race, unfortunately, and that's Iman Danish's car blowing up as it crosses the line.
Why did it detect him as finishing? Maybe.
I'm not too sure. That's a little bit strange because we need him to finish in order to try and get the results up.
Yeah, it's okay. I think we got it.
All right. So regardless of that rather strange,
0.007. Whoa.
wow,
Go on.
7,000ths of a second. Sci-Fi Effin there has won the race by the skin of his teeth in the Audi from Jezri Jali in the BMW there. 7,000th of a second between the first two places. Kelvin T says, thanks for hosting AI. Thank you very much for racing. And would you just look at that? The pace at the front was so quick that everyone from 8th place down was lapped. That was how quick everyone was going. But Safar Arifin there in first place. Jarsuin Jali just heartbreakingly close to winning the race in second. Shami Aizan in third, followed by Umar Aziz, Ilham Halabi, Tunku Arshad, Azra Nazri, Surin Selvaraju, the first driver to be a lap down. Samir Nora Fudin in 9th and Lloyd Lachlan in 10th. Meanwhile, Tarmizi Yusuf is in 11th, followed by Fred Ting, Eddie Adrian, Kelvin T, Iman Danish, Muhammad Shukran, Faraz Fazil and Calvin Ha. Further down we'll see Sharul Jaffa, Malvidijit Singh, Jazri Junus, who unfortunately couldn't complete all of the distance or all of the time out there racing. Afiq Fadlan as well had to retire along with Nazmi Masli. Javier Alvarez and Shawar Rajab and Aslan Mana was unable to complete too much of the race there. So tough luck for those guys. Hopefully they'll be back stronger than ever the next round. But would you just believe that finish? Unbelievable stuff.
Yeah. Oh man.
I don't think we've ever seen anything like that, not only in sim racing but also just in the real world of motorsport. 7,000ths of a second. SM Hobbies, aka Shukran there, good race guys, good race to you as well. Fantastic stuff out there. But unbelievable.
Yeah. Give me a minute.
Now let's see if there's anybody on there that
Yeah. Let's see who's on in the rooms there. I wonder. I thought I saw Jezrin just now where he disappeared.
probably sitting there internally screaming, I would imagine. Because that would have been heartbreaking. He was so much quicker than Saifur Arifin in the final lap of the race there. And if it wasn't for the fact that the start-finish line is on a slight corner, Deer's Leap, if that was a straight line, Jazrin would have had him.
Yeah.
That was how close. SF Hobby says, heard loads of dramas while racing. Yes, there was quite a lot of drama there, including the finish of the race. Very dramatic stuff indeed. Quite a few incidents as well, including the two caution Ferraris not heeding their own cautions and crashing into each other. That's, I must admit, quite amusing. But that just goes to show how difficult Alton Park is. It is a very narrow track to try and race on, and to be fair, it's actually been a fairly clean race in that regard there. You can see there's barely enough space to fit two cars down on the track. That's amazing stuff.
Okay, can you hold on for a moment?
We will hold on while we try and find one of the guys to have a chat with.
Meanwhile, just like to share this.
Yes. So, of course, the sim racing continues next weekend. I believe 31st of October around Laguna Seca. It's the SRA GT3 by Radical SRA multi-class series. The fall championship really is hotting up right now in association with the Macau China Sim Racing Association and the Sim Racing Association of Singapore. The best drivers from all around Asia will compete at Laguna Seca, and we'll be broadcasting that event live on Adrenaline Impact, so do stay tuned for that. Saturdays at 1 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time, with qualifying and the race at 1 o'clock. Yes, practice at 12 o'clock GMT and the qualifying of the race at 1 o'clock. So that's about 9 o'clock our time here in Malaysia. So that's going to be a fantastic race to watch, so do stay tuned for that. Takuya there, say good race fellas. Definitely it was entertaining to see Irshad really battling through up and down the field, and really showing the fighting spirit of all the drivers who are out there on the track. I must admit I am a little bit hoarse right now. I have never been shouting at the screen so much in my life. That was an amazing race.
Okay, man, so let's just wrap up this about this event.
Absolutely. Special thanks goes out to all the racers out there on track. Without them we couldn't do what we do up here in the commentary booth. But and also a special thanks to the SRE guys for supporting the event and making everything just a little more colourful and vibrant. But for now, all that remains for me is to do is to thank our director Karo Alang, and to all the fans who have been watching out there. I know you have enjoyed the race, especially the finish. That was absolutely fantastic stuff indeed. But for now, we will see you all in the next broadcast. I've been Max Palmer, and we'll see you later. Ta-ra!
Hi, I'm Matt from Interformula, and welcome to our Research and Development Centre. We do all forms of research and development, all the way from designing and developing our own race cars, to simulators, to running cars in racing series and rallying all over the world. We also do a lot in the Asian Classic Car Championship, so do look out for us. For any information, do contact us with the number down below.